So many people have heard of the idea of visualization, but what if I told you that the way most of us practice it is fundamentally flawed? What if the real, ancient power of this technique has been lost? A secret hidden in plain sight that explains why you so often feel like you are reaching for your dreams through a thick pane of glass. The truth is, you are a master visualizer already. You are doing it all day, every single day, whether you are aware of it or not. If you want to know what you have been consistently visualizing up until this very moment, just take a calm, honest look at the current circumstances of your life. Your outer world is a perfect and flawless mirror of your inner one. But do not worry if that reflection is not what you desire, because in this video, we are going to move far beyond simple, positive thinking. You will discover why the feeling behind your vision is the true magnetic force that shapes reality. And I will give you a simple, powerful visualization practice that, when done consistently, can fundamentally shift the results you see in your life. This isn't a new age trick. It is an ancient art of creation. Let's begin. Visualizing, or mental imaging, is in fact an ancient and sacred technique. This is not a new age concept or something that just came about in the last few decades. You can find references to this profound practice woven through many of the world's most sacred texts. From the parables in the Bible to the hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt, and so much more. When you learn how to control your visualizations and use them with clear, loving intention, it is like being given a divine paintbrush and an empty canvas, upon which you can begin to create your life with purpose. The great spiritual teacher Neville Goddard said it perfectly. All you can possibly need or desire is already yours. Call your desires into being by imagining and feeling your wish fulfilled. He also said, through your ability to think and feel, you have dominion over all creation. The fact of the matter is, you are already using this power. All day long, we do not typically think in dry, abstract words. We think in vivid, sensory-rich images. The unconscious movie that plays in the theater of your mind is the very blueprint for the life you are currently living. So, if you are not intentionally and consciously directing that movie, what do you think you are creating in your life? Most likely, less than ideal conditions. In fact, if you want to know what you have been visualizing consistently, simply look out at your life. The results you have been getting will tell you the entire story. But do not worry if what you are seeing is less than desirable, or even if you simply want to take your life to the next level. Because in this video, we are not only going to dive deeper into the true power that visualization contains, but I am also going to give you a simple, step-by-step visualization practice that can produce remarkable results. If you stick with it, the twofold path to mastery, you get what you think about most of the time, the immense power of your thoughts, your inner images, and your feelings is typically underappreciated and not talked about nearly enough. Understand that while I am going to give you a specific technique that will require you to sit down for a dedicated period of time, we must also address the other side of the coin. What are you thinking about and visualizing throughout the rest of your day? Think of your mind as a garden. Your deliberate, daily visualization practice is like planting a beautiful, intentional seed in that garden, but what happens if, for the other 23.5 hours of the day, you allow the weeds of worry, doubt, and negative imagery to grow wild? That single, precious seed might struggle to sprout, choked out by the chaos around it. Ultimately, the way in which you can begin to truly influence reality through your visualizations is twofold. First, you must have a deliberate, dedicated practice that you do daily, a sacred time you give to yourself to visualize in the way we are about to show you. But second, you must also begin to monitor what you are visualizing throughout the rest of your day. These two practices, the dedicated time and the daily awareness, work together. They synergize. The intentional practice makes it easier to catch your negative thoughts during the day, and a cleaner mental state during the day makes your intentional practice far more powerful. The missing ingredient, the feeling, is the secret. Now, we arrive at the most crucial piece of this entire puzzle, the one ingredient that transforms a simple mental picture into a powerful, creative force that bends reality. It is not the thought alone that shapes your world. As prominent manifestation teachers like Neville Goddard emphasized constantly, the secret is the feeling, specifically, the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. It is not just about the images you hold in your mind. It is about the emotional charge that corresponds with those images. A visualization without a corresponding feeling is like a magnet with no electrical charge. It is just a piece of cold metal with no power to attract anything. But when you infuse that inner image with a powerful, congruent emotion, it becomes magnetized. It begins to pull the corresponding reality from the quantum field into your life with a powerful force. Remember that emotion is simply energy in motion. And so, when you have the thought and the emotion behind it, you suddenly have potent, creative energy in motion working on your behalf. When we go to visualize, we do not only want to activate the mental plane of existence, we also want to activate the spiritual or emotional plane of existence as well. When these two are working together, with the mind and the heart in perfect sync, the synergy between them allows for what you are visualizing to begin materializing in your life with astonishing speed. The inner world creates the outer world. It should be clear by now why visualizing is so important, but I want to give you some more perspective on just how powerful this technique truly is, especially when compared to conventional effort. My own mentor once told me that a single hour of deep, focused inner work through visualization is equivalent to 5 to 10 hours of frantic, hustling, and grinding in the outer world. Why is this? Because the outer, physical world always follows the blueprint of the inner, energetic world. I have gone over this in depth in other videos, but the core principle is this. The physical world you are seeing around you emerges from the inner world, from the quantum or energetic realm. And so, when you are actively and consciously creating in that inner world through your visualizations, and you are involving that powerful, spiritual plane of emotion, things in your outer world begin to move much more quickly. You may have heard of the effortless path, or the path of least resistance. Do you want to know how you can actually start to access that in a way that brings you tangible results? It is through doing this deep inner work, including the visualization technique I am going to give you. It is one of the most powerful tools you can possibly use for manifestation. Now, does this mean you will not have to do any physical work? No, I do not want to be unclear here. I am not saying you can just sit on the sofa, meditate and visualize, and have your dream life appear in your lap. You will have to take physical action. We are just developing a clear hierarchy here of what comes from what. Ultimately, what you will find happens is this: as you cultivate your inner world through practices like visualization, you will be drawn, inspired, and energized to take specific, aligned actions. The difference is, these will be actions that feel clear and right to you, rather than you trying to do a million different things, throwing everything against the wall and hoping that something sticks. That is the hustling and grinding approach. It is a shotgun approach, spraying your energy everywhere. When you use the method I am telling you here, you start by creating a precise, clear blueprint in the inner world. The universe then begins to bring you the exact opportunities, people, and resources that are in perfect alignment with that blueprint. This means you can take one or two powerful, inspired actions that accomplish far more than 100 actions taken from a place of confusion and struggle. This is what we are talking about when we say that path of least resistance. You are co-creating with the universe, which then begins to reveal the pathway to you. Step by step, you go as far as you can see with your current inspiration. And then, once you arrive there, the next step of the path will be revealed. But this leads to a very practical and important question: how, exactly, do we create these powerful visualizations? How do we generate the feeling of the wish fulfilled, especially when our current reality feels so different? And what is the specific, step-by-step technique you can use, starting today, to begin this profound process of co-creation? That is precisely what we will explore next. So, how exactly do we create these powerful visualizations? How do we generate the feeling of the wish fulfilled, especially when our current reality feels so different from our desire? And what is the specific, step-by-step technique you can use, starting today, to begin this profound process of co-creation? Let's jump into the technique right now. Remember that the inner work will always move things in your life quicker and more powerfully than random, frantic outer work. Being busy does not mean you are being effective. This does not mean you will not take any action. You are a physical being in a physical world, and there will absolutely be inspired action to take. But now, you will be taking much more aligned, intentional, and effective action if you follow what we are going over here. To quote the great author Napoleon Hill once again, if you are one of those who believe that hard work and honesty alone will bring riches, perish the thought. It is not true. Riches, when they come in huge quantities, are never the result of hard work alone. Riches come, if they come at all, in response to definite demands, based upon the application of definite principles, and not by chance or luck. Those definite demands are made through your focused thoughts, your vivid visualizations, and your embodied feelings. The technique I am about to give you is the application of these definite principles. It is incredibly simple, but insanely powerful if you commit to it with consistency. The two-phase visualization technique. This technique is a combination of what is called a passive and an active meditation. I will explain exactly what that means and how to do it, so that you can literally leave this video and begin the practice right away. Phase 1. The passive meditation, preparing the vehicle. The first thing you will do in this technique is engage in a passive meditation. When people think about meditation, this is typically what they imagine. It could be focusing on a mantra, or simply focusing on the sensation of your breath as it enters and leaves your body. In this phase, you are not trying to deliberately create or visualize anything. Your entire goal is to root yourself in the present moment, to become the calm observer of your own mind, allowing thoughts to come and go without getting attached to them. Before we even begin the creative act of visualizing, we must first prepare the vehicle. This is the crucial step that so many people skip, and it is why their efforts often fail. If you try to jump straight into visualizing after a stressful day, you are essentially trying to drive a car that has no fuel and flat tires. You are bringing a chaotic, stressed frequency into a sacred, creative space. The passive meditation is the act of filling the car with fuel, checking the oil, and airing up the tires. It calms your nervous system. It lowers your brainwave state from the frantic beta to the creative alpha and theta states. And it opens the doorway to the inner world, allowing you to walk through it with clarity and power. Do not skip this step. It is the preparatory work that makes the creative work possible. Phase 2. The active visualization, the journey. After the passive phase, you transition into the active meditation, or the visualization itself. This is where we become much more involved. This is when we will start to intentionally visualize, tuning into the specific images and, most importantly, the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. Here is how to do it. Step by step. 1. Craft your scene, the 10 to 20 second rule. You are going to craft a very specific, short scene that implies your desire has already been fulfilled. And here is a critical rule that so many people fight against at first. Your scene must be short, no longer than 10 to 20 seconds. Why? Because this forces you to focus your energy like a laser beam, rather than scattering it like a sprinkler. Think of your creative energy like a finite amount of water for your garden. If you have 10 different seeds you want to grow, but only enough water for one, what happens if you sprinkle a little on each? None of them grow. But if you pour all of your water and attention onto one potent seed, it will sprout. 2. Use the first-person perspective. When you visualize this scene, you must experience it in the first person. You are not watching a movie of yourself on a screen. You are in the movie. Your hands in the scene are your hands. The voice you hear is coming to your ears. This is essential because we want your subconscious mind to accept this scene as a real, lived experience. 3. Engage all your senses. The more sensory detail you include, the more real it becomes to your brain. What do you see in vivid color? What specific sounds do you hear? Can you smell a specific fragrance in the air? Can you feel the texture of an object in your hand or the warmth of a hug? Get as involved as if you were physically standing in that scene right now. 4. Choose a celebratory moment. A powerful way to ensure your scene elicits strong emotion is to make it a celebratory scene that takes place after your wish has been fulfilled. For example, if you desire a promotion at work, the scene is not you doing the work. The scene is you shaking your boss's hand as they congratulate you. Feeling the firm grip of their hand, hearing their exact words, and feeling that incredible wave of joy, relief, and accomplishment wash over you. 5. The art of repetition. After you complete this 10 to 20 second scene one time through, your job is to repeat it, looping it again and again for the duration of your active meditation. With each repetition, your goal is to make it more vivid, more real, and more emotionally potent. This is how you crystallize the scene in your mind and saturate it with the feeling that brings it to life. Don't worry if this feels clunky at first. This is the skill, and like any skill, it improves with consistent practice, supercharging the practice. So, here is my recommendation for how to structure this practice. Set aside 30 minutes daily. Begin with 10 minutes of passive meditation to calm your system and prepare the vehicle. Then, transition directly into 20 minutes of active meditation, where you are looping your short, sensory-rich, first-person scene over and over again. Remember, consistency is far more important than intensity, especially at first. Through the consistency of doing this every single day, you will build a powerful, energetic momentum. One of my clients who recently went through our program and committed to this practice for just 3 weeks, every single day was blown away by the results, not just in the typical areas like finances and relationships, but in the very way he felt, his mood, his confidence, and the way he interacted with people. This stuff works if you actually apply it. Now, as you do this practice consistently, you will notice that you become much more aware of your thoughts and feelings throughout the day. And this is exactly where we want to be. Another tool that can be incredibly useful to really supercharge this process is to do daily micro resets. Think of these as energetic top-ups. Let's say you do your powerful 30-minute practice in the morning, but 2 or 3 hours later at work, you notice your energy dipping or your thoughts drifting into a negative, unhelpful space. You can do a quick 5-minute reset, 1 minute of passive meditation, just focusing on your breath to calm your system, followed by 4 minutes of actively looping your scene. Think of it like a GPS for your energy when you notice you are veering off course into worry or doubt. This micro reset allows you to instantly course correct and get back on the aligned track. It's like a top-up of fuel for your vehicle, continuing to move you in the direction you truly want to go. As you become more adept at this practice, you will find it gets easier and easier to tune into that powerful, creative state. You are training yourself to become a master of your own frequency. But this leads to a deeper and very important question. As you do this inner work, how does the outer world actually begin to respond? What are the signs that your visualization is taking root in the quantum field? And how can you learn to recognize and act upon the inspired opportunities that the universe will begin to send your way? That is the art of co-creation, and it is precisely what we will explore next.